Okay, hi guys, welcome back. We're gonna work on some problems from 2.4 to 2.7 again. So let's just go right into it. Write an algebraic equation and use it to solve the problem. The length of a rectangular room is 6 feet longer than twice the width. Oh, that is too big. 6 feet longer than twice the width. If the room's perimeter is 168 feet, what are the room's dimensions? Okay, so let's make a rectangle. And it says that its length is 6 feet longer than twice the width. So width. If the room's perimeter is 168 feet, what are the room's dimensions? So now let's solve for the width. Everything into an equation. 6 plus 2w plus 6 plus 2w plus w plus w equals 168. Let's move this over a little bit to the left. Okay. So now let's combine like terms. We can do w, 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 and then we can also combine 6 and 6. So 6 plus 6 is 12, plus 2, 2, 4, 5, 6, plus 6w equals 168. And now we subtract 12 from both sides. 6w equals 156. Okay, so now we divide by 6. Divide by 6. And w equals 26 feet. Let's do another color. So that's the width. And then in order to find out the length, we just plug in the value that we got into this equation. So we would do 6 plus 2w. 6 plus 2, w is 26. So it's going to be 6 plus 52, which equals 58 feet. Remember to always use your units. It's very important, so that you can put that the dimensions are 26 feet by 58 feet. So that is the first answer to our first problem. A reservation clerk worked 19.8 hours one day. She spent twice as much time entering new reservations as she did verifying old ones, and 1.5 as much time calling to confirm reservations as she did verifying old ones. And then how much time did she spend entering new reservations? So this problem has 2 steps, kind of like the first one. So let's get into it. So in the new ones, she spent twice as much time entering them, and then her calling time was 1.5 as much time. And then the total time, the total hours that she worked was 19.8. So now let's make this into an equation. So 2x plus x is kind of what we're trying to find and plug in, plus 1.5x equals 19.8. So now we combine like terms, so that's going to be 4.5x equals 19.8. We divide both sides by 4.5. X is going to give us 4.4. But we're not done. We have to do 2 times x, because we're trying to find how much time she spent entering new reservations. And here it says she spent twice as much time. So 2x, 2, we plug in our x, 4.4, which is going to give us 8.8. 8.8 what? 8.8 hours. With word problems, you always have to specify and give units to what you solve for. So now let's do number 3. A high school graduating class is made up of 551 students. there are 115 more girls than boys, how many boys are in the class? So total is 551, and there are 115 more girls than boys. How many boys are in the class? So combine like terms, so it's going to be 2b minus 115 minus 115, so that's going to be 436 equals 2b divided by 2 divided by 2. B is going to give us 218. 218 what? 218 boys. Okay, number 4. Let x represent the number. Use the given conditions to write an equation. Solve the equation and find the number. Let's be fun. Let's change colors. So 6 less than 2 times a number. So 2 times a number minus 6, because that's 6 less than 2 times a number, is the same as 4 times the number. So now let's just plug it into an equation. 2x minus 6 equals 4x. Minus 2 minus 2. Negative 6 equals 2x. Divide by 2. Divide by 2. X is negative 3. And that's our answer. Number 5. Solve the inequality. Write the solution set in interval notation and graph it. Okay. So let's rewrite it so we can solve it down here. Negative 18r plus 6 is less than or equal to negative 6 2r minus 7. So first, let's go ahead and distribute this negative 6 into the parentheses. So it's going to give us negative 12r plus 42, because it's a negative, and that's going to give us a positive. So now we would solve like any other equation. Let's do plus 12 plus 12, which is going to be negative 6r plus 6 is less than or equal to positive 42 minus 6 minus 6. Negative 6r is going to be less than or equal to 36. Divided by negative 6 divided by negative 6. Be very mindful that when you are dividing an inequality by a negative, you have to flip the sign. So our answer would be r is greater than or equal to negative 6. So this is how we're going to graph it. Now let's write the interval notation. Negative 6, comma, positive infinity, parentheses. And we need to put a bracket before the negative 6 because this inequality, this sign, has a little line under it that means or equal to. And when that sign is there, you have to put a bracket. And when that sign is there, when you graph, your circle has to be closed, or you can also graph it like this. Doesn't really matter, depends on how your professor wants it. So this is our interval notation. And now let's graph it. So let's do negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, negative 6, 7, 8, 9. So we find negative 6. We do a closed circle because it has the little line under that symbol. And then it says r is greater than or equal to, which means we go to the right. And that's our graph. Now let's go on to number 6. Let's rewrite it so we can solve it once again. Now we distribute into the parentheses. 6 times 4, 24x, minus 12, because a positive and a negative gives us a negative. Now we would solve like any other equation. Minus 24, minus 24, plus 30, plus 30, divide by 6, divide by 6. So x is going to be greater than positive 3. And we didn't flip the sign because we were dividing by a positive number. So this is how we're going to graph it. Now let's write interval notation. It's going to be 3, comma, positive infinity. And because there is no line under this inequality symbol, we just write a parentheses. And when we graph it, we use an open circle. So let's do 1, 2, 3, 4. Find the 3, open circle. X is greater than. When it's greater than, it's positive. We go to the right. So this is our answer. And now let's go to number 7. Let's rewrite it. And now we distribute this fraction into the parentheses. So 7 over 16x plus, let's do this off to the side in a different color. 7 over 16 times 9. Is there anything in common with these numbers? There is not really anything in common with the numbers. So all that we can do is just multiply them across. So that's going to be 63 over 16 is greater than 1 over 8x. Let's do the same thing off to the side. 1 over 8 times 7. Once again, nothing in common, nothing we can simplify or cancel, so we just multiply straight across. Forgot to put this here. So plus 7 over 8 because everything is positive. So now let's just move things around so that we have our common numbers next to each other, even though we do have to find a common denominator. But now let's just flip it so that they're next to each other. So 7 over 16x minus 1 over 8x, because we flipped it, so we have to change it. And then 7 over 8 minus 63 over 16. Okay. So now let's find a common denominator so that we can subtract these fractions. So what's the greatest common factor between 8 and 16? It's going to be 16. So 7 over 16x. How can we make this have a denominator of 16? We would multiply it by 2. So 2 over 16x is greater than. How would we make this have a denominator of 16? Once again, multiply by 2. So 14 over 16 minus 63 over 16. Let's do this a little off to the side here because I'm running out of space. Okay. Actually, let's do this on the bottom. 7 minus 2 is 5 over 16x is greater than 14 minus 63 is negative 49 over 16. Now let's get rid of those fractions by multiplying both sides by 16. So cancel, 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 cancel. Let's move here. So that's going to be 5x is greater than negative 49. Divide by 5. Divide by 5. X is greater than negative 49 divided by 5 as a decimal is negative 9.8. So that's how we're going to graph it. And now for interval notation, there is no line. There is no line under this sign, which means that it's all going to be in parentheses and that the circle is going to be open when we graph it. So negative 9.8 comma positive infinity. That's our interval notation, and now let's graph. I don't have a graph, so let's make one. Okay, -6, -7, 8, -9, -10. So -9.8 will be kind of around here, open circle, and x is greater than. And when it's greater than, we go to the right because it's positive. And that's our answer for number 7. Number 8 has the word or. This means that when we graph, the graph is going to look like this. They're going to go in opposite directions. And for this, we have to solve them each individually, write the notation for them individually, and then we graph them. So let's do 8x plus 7 is less than -65. And now let's do 6x plus 2 is greater than 8. -7 minus 7 cancel, so that's going to be 8x. It's going to be less than -72. Over 8, x is less than -9. That's our first answer, and it's just a regular inequality symbol, no line under it, no or equal to. So our interval notation is going to be -9, comma, positive infinity. So that's our first value. And now for the second one, we do -2, -2. 6x is greater than 6. Divided by 6, divided by 6, x is greater than 1. And it's the same as the other side. There's no or equal to. So for our interval notation, it's going to be 1, comma, positive infinity. And now to graph it. So let's go to -9, and it's going to be an open circle. And it says x is less than, we go to the left. And now let's go to number 1, open circle, x is greater than, go to the right, positive, and that's our final answer. So now for number 9. Number 9 is an and inequality, which means that it's going to be coming together. And we're going to solve everything together. And what we do to one side, we have to do to all of the other sides. Let's rewrite it. Now, -3, -3, -3 to all sides. You have to do it to all sides. Cancel out. -12 minus 3, -15. 0 minus 3 is -3. And now let's divide by -3. And remember what I said, when you're dividing by a negative, you have to flip the sign. -15 divided by -3 is going to be +5, because negative and a negative is going to give us a positive. Flip the sign. -3 divided by -3 is just +1. In this case, it's just a. Flip the sign, and then -3 over -3, like we said, is 1. Now for interval notation, notice that this side has a line and or equal to on the inequality, but here it does not, which means that one side is going to have a bracket and one side is going to have a parentheses. So we can do 5, comma, 1. That's our interval notation, and now let's graph it. So let's find number 5, and that's open circle, and it says a is less than 5, which means we go left. Let's find 1. I went a little too far, but here we go. Let's find 1, close circle. Oh, close circle, and it says a is greater than or equal to 1, which means we go to the right, and they come together like an and inequality.